Hi everyone, this is Mini Mathur, and you're listening to me on the Taking It Slow podcast. I've had an amazing time chatting with Duju. And if you also enjoyed listening to us, then you can like, share, subscribe, or follow this podcast.
Today is a very happy day for me. Our guest today is someone who I've been trying to bring on the podcast for almost a year now. She's someone who I really look up to a lot, not because just she's an MBA in marketing from a college that, like mine, tries to think that it is in the top 10 in the country, but is realistically around 15th to 20th. I look up to her because she carves out her own niches. She's a path breaker in terms of the stuff that she does on screen and the kind of issues that she's vocal for. She's one of the very few accounts on social media which talk about the stuff that actually matters. She set the benchmark for hosting a show in India. She set the benchmark for being a VJ. She set the benchmark for being a talk show host, something that I would love to be sometime down the line. Even when she forayed into acting with Bind the Malhotras, she was showered with awards for her amazing performance. I still cannot believe I'm saying this, but it gives me a lot of pleasure to invite on the Taking It Slow podcast none other than Mini Mathur, ma'am. How are you, ma'am? How are you?
I'm great, and IMT is most definitely top 12, if not top 10. Don't you dare put me out there with some rotten colleges that you're talking about, okay? I'm very serious about this.
We all like to believe that. We all like. So let's talk about IMT. What was it like back then? And have you been back recently?
Yes, I went there for a reunion where I saw many uncles who I bet them. I hope they're all listening to it. Who all look like very different when we were in college together, but we had a blast and we went and did the same thing. 2:30 a.m. We went to the Chungi to have parathas, and we did
Nice.
all amphitheater, Gadar, and all of that, and lived in the dorm. So it was like amazing. It was a sort of a convocation that we never actually got, which
Hmm.
we gave ourselves at the
So
reunion. So it's very nice, and I've actually kept in touch with my entire corporate, gang. All of them who are
hmm.
leaders now in pharma and finance and marketing, and it's just
बड़े
so
लोग
nice
बन
to
गए
be able
सब.
to bade log ban gaye, and it's nice to sort of keep them together, keep in touch with them, because that's an aspect of my life I really treasure.
Yeah. मैम यूजुअली मार्केटिंग में एमबीए करने के बाद कॉर्पोरेट जॉब में जाते हैं, ब्रांड मैनेजमेंट करते हैं, एडवर्टाइजिंग में जाते हैं. Even you started off on that journey. I've heard the story of you shifting into the entertainment world, and it is a brilliant story. Would you mind narrating that once again for us,
Oh
for
my
our
God,
listeners?
I think I've narrated it about 5,000 times, so I don't know who's left who's not heard it if they're interested. But, the way it actually went was that, like you said, I was never meant to be in
Hmm.
television. I was always
Hmm.
meant to be actually a doctor, where I actually joined a medical college and bailed out. Okay, so I'm that level. Then I studied English literature,
Nice.
which was my second love.
Yeah.
And after that, I knew that anything that I study, I didn't want to teach English. I love literature for literature. I did my MBA in marketing. I was always very clear from day one. It's going to be marketing and it's going to be advertising, because that's where the creativity is.
Absolutely.
And I joined JWT, which is J. Walter
Hmm.
Thompson,
Hmm.
on superb accounts like Pepsi, and it was just launching. Pepsi and Ruffles and Lay's was just launching, so it was a very exciting time in advertising. It was
Hmm.
also a very exciting time for television.
Right.
It was just about emerging. We were just going out from just being Doordarshan to ZTV, which was,
Correct. Correct. Correct.
the first sort of international channel that was
Satellite TV.
hitting
Yeah.
other cable satellite TV. And
Hmm.
Bombay, surprisingly, was not the hub that time. It was actually Delhi.
Yep.
And Delhi had the best unscripted programming happening out of there. And I do remember getting a call. So how my face got on, my mug got on there was because I was working on the weekend, as client servicing
As we
flunkies
do.
usually do, as we do
Yeah.
on weekends. And one of the models for a pitch we were making to Ray-Ban did not turn up on time, and the creative director Abhinav Dar just said, "Hey, Mani, just come, wear this jacket and wear these glasses and just shoot." I said, "No, no, 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 no." I had permed hair. My hair was like this. It was a honey's, it was honeybee nest. And they said, "No, no, this is the look. We don't want glamour. We just want your face." So we're
Hmm.
like, "Okay." So I sat and I did that shoot, and I really looked like a woman pilot, a scruffy one at that, I suppose, because the pitch got approved and the model got approved, and they were like, "Nahi, nahi, nahi, this one to works in an office. We'll get a proper model." I said, "No, no, no, use this girl." So that's how I went up on hoardings and magazines and everyone. And it was a very successful campaign, and that's how I started getting modeling assignments, which I used to do on the weekends. Ki bhai itna acha pocket money mil raha hai. This is not like one modeling assignment would get me what I would earn for a month. Just
Yep.
look at the dichotomy and the
Yep.
sadness of this.
Yep.
So I said, okay, let me do it for fun. And I did. Then I got a call for a show that was happening on Z, where they were replacing the host of the first Tol Mol Ke Bol, and they said, we want a woman and a new faces. And I was just like, dude, I'm an MBA. I'm not going to stand there with the male host reading out prices or doing the scores. So you please, like, I have a huge chip on my shoulder. So unless it's a 50-50, do not call me.
Yeah.
They're like, no, we'll put you on camera. And anyway, to cut a long story short, I did an audition, which they really liked. And they were like, can you leave day after? And we're going to travel to Bombay, Calcutta, this, that. And you are on the show and don't worry about it. And my co-host was R. Madhavan, who's now, of course, an extremely successful actor. But he and I started our TV hosting journey together, literally with this show. And I was just like, dude, तुम अमिताभ बच्चन हो गए अब सीरियल्स के, लेकिन यहाँ पर I'm not playing nurse to the doctor. And they were very sweet. And that was the first show. And that's how I realized that, despite that I was completely untrained, I felt completely comfortable in front of the camera. I felt completely unfazed and unintimidated by communication and camera. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that I'd read many books, that I went to college, that I was a postgraduate, that I had experience in dealing with tough clients. And I had life experience, which I think helped me immensely when you really put it in contrast with people who jump into this field at 18 and want to, encapsulate everything in that one show. It's not going to happen till you don't.
You come to it with a lot of perspective. You come to it with a lot of stuff that you've handled yourself. So that gives you a separate kind of confidence only.
Absolutely. And I think that somehow in many, many ways, it shows on camera, not just in terms of the confidence, but in terms of how honest you are about who you are. And that honesty is something that I feel really translates, and that holds for actors as well, for anyone who's really trying to relate. So from then on, I think I just got every damn good show that happened out of Delhi. I landed it. It was like a dream, suddenly there was like...
Let me just butt in there. Okay. So I have this list in front of me of the shows that you have posted.
Shit.
So let me take a deep breath.
List in a long time. Okay.
तोल मोल के बोल, हिट थी हिट है, हिट हो रहे, खूबसूरत, इंडियन हॉलीडे, बॉम्बे ब्लश फॉर बीबीसी, इंडियन आइडल मल्टीपल सीजन्स, पॉपकॉर्न फॉर जूम, मिस इंडिया पैजेंट सिर्फ 1 मिनट में, विच वॉज जस्ट अ मिनट का इटरेशन फॉर सहारा, पोगो अमेजिंग किड्स अवार्ड्स, ये शाम मस्तानी फॉर सोनी, इस जंगल से मुझे बचाओ, वाइफ बिन अ लाइफ, स्पोर्ट्स के सुपरस्टार, दिल्ली दिल से, डिस्कवरी स्कूल सुपर लीग, कुछ रह गया? कैन आई ब्रीथ?
हाँ, एक breathe कर लो, but you've left a big part away, which is my 5 years at MTV.
MTV, yes.
My 5 years at MTV is what actually completely trained me to be a presenter of any worth. It put me... so that's how I moved from Delhi to Bombay, right? Because it was... at that point, VJs were the shit. Okay, there was no better job in hosting than being on MTV. They were the coolest people. The work, the access, it was just brilliant. And I, of course, was told at the last day of the MTV VJ hunt that, look, we are looking at you, and do you want to come? And I just, got married, and I was like, boss, abhi, how can I shift? And I remember my mom-in-law, of all the people, telling me, are you crazy? Like, who says maybe to an MTV, just go, disappear. This can happen later. Life will happen. So I have left and come here, and I started my journey at MTV, where I was one day interviewing a rickshawala, the other day college kids, third day Mr. Bachchan, fourth day Deep Purple, fifth day Bryan Adams.
Wow.
It was a roller coaster. Okay, it was just the best training on the ground that you can receive, and which is why today you can put me in a room with any amount of people from any economic strata or any level of communication, articulation skills. and I'm comfortable and I know that I can handle it because we really swum at the deep end. Plus, it had to do with music,
Yeah.
which is such a deep, deep love and connection. So that's how it all happened.
So let's talk about the evolution of MTV in your opinion. It used to be about music. Like when I was growing up as well, if you want to listen to fresh music, MTV is the place you go, or Channel V
Yeah,
for international music.
correct.
Uh, Over the years, it has developed into something else altogether. It has probably started becoming more of a pop culture phenomenon. The shows that they have, it is not as much about music. तो अभी जो बोलते हैं ना MTV music television, it is not really about music in my opinion. And how do you compare it पहले से कि अब के time पे? Which one do you prefer, to be honest?
It's not a cult anymore. But
Hmm.
earlier, when I was at MTV, it was it was what people. It was aspirational. Okay, it
Correct.
was what you
Hmm.
turned to find your barometer of coolness. Uh,
Correct.
all the VJs were your idols. Okay, who you
Yeah.
wanted to emulate. You wanted to
Yeah.
aspire to be not just cool, but the music and the access, and it was a time when India was shining. Okay, India was
Hmm.
just coming
Hmm.
out of and we were hitting the notes of on the world stage, and I just think that at that point, if you were into if you were young, it was your go-to place. After
True.
Bollywood music happened to MTV, we have, at that point, it was like 10% of our music playlist was Bollywood. The
Hmm.
others was all international,
It,
retro,
indie
classic,
music. Yeah.
rock, indie. Indie music, which was very big because that's the time that Adnan Sami, Lucky Ali, all
Euphoria
these
was
people,
cropping up. Shan was there.
Euphoria,
So
Pentagram. These were the
yeah,
bands that were making music that meant something, that said something, that was a reflection of
that
the
connected.
times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it was incredible to be part of
Hmm.
that. The moment film music hit, and let me just define it like when you decide to be a business instead of a cult. And that goes for any channel. When you want to
Hmm.
just be about the numbers and not about your niche, uh, you have to dilute your identity. And I think that's pretty much what happened to the music channels, all of them. And suddenly the guys who had come from the West, MTV US and MTV, France,
Hmm.
would come to
Hmm.
direct us, and they were the creative directors. They weren't there along anymore. They weren't around anymore. And so anyway, it changed. So now it's not aspirational. Now it's just
Yeah.
another channel
Is
you
there?
tune into for film
Is there?
promos, for
Yeah.
watching some dhakka mukhi wala dance, and all of that. It's not.
Roadies
It's
or
not.
Splitsvilla or whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, that is the death. I mean, when radio killed the video killed the radio star, and reality killed the video star also. I can't stand the reality shows that are, of course, incredibly popular, and some of my best buddies from MTV are still involved with it, which is good for them because they are really like cool icons. But
My wife
I
still
can't
watches
understand.
every damn show that they put out. I'm like, why? What do you find in them? How do you find them entertaining?
I only watch
And
it and say that, oh, I'm glad I got out in time.
nice. I first noticed you when you started hosting the Indian Idol. Uh,
Correct.
you were the face of Indian Idol for a very long time for me. The contestants kept on changing, the judges kept on changing, but you were the constant for Indian Idol. It is said traditionally that the show is made by the performers, made by the talent that comes in. But for me, the host guides or navigates the show's journey through the 45 minutes or the 50 minutes of the episode. And I just wanted to know from you what level of preparation does it take on your part. ऐसा तो है नहीं कि हाँ सिर्फ वेलकम आके अपना क्यू पढ़ा एंड आके बस थ्रो टू द जजेस थ्रो टू द कंटेस्ट ऐसा तो बहुत ही इट इज अ reductive understanding of the job that a host does. What level of intense preparation goes behind the scenes which people in front of the TV screen do not see?
So very often so there are different kinds of presenters, Tuju. What happens is that there are some who wing it with just spontaneity. There's
Hmm.
some who are very studied, who will only have nothing to contribute of their own personality, will come and read the lines that are written with their eyes moving with the teleprompter lines, and you can make
Yeah.
those people out.
Yeah.
Okay, you have nothing to add. You are basically the voice of the scriptwriter, and
Hmm.
you. But I feel the best kind of presenters are those who do their homework and
Hmm.
then let spontaneity guide them forward. So I don't think I've ever stepped onto any stage where I have not read my script, where I have not read the stack, or I've not read the questions or not understood what the backgrounds of the contestants are, what they're going to sing, a little bit of gossip from the person who was training them, what happened last
Hmm.
night, which is why you
Hmm.
found me so connected with the contestants of
Yeah.
Idol.
Yeah.
Most people come, they do their job, and they say, "Okay, mera ho gaya," and they sit in their cars and leave. I hung
Yeah.
out because it was
Hmm.
also India's first reality show.
True.
And nobody knew what reality was and how we were going to create it. And the reason the first few seasons were so pure and so organic was because we didn't construct it. We didn't force people to cry or force people to exhibit emotions they weren't feeling because we wanted to get the audience hooked. The audience was just watching this reality unfold, and that's truly what
Yep.
reality was at that
They
point.
like real
So
stories. People connect to real stories. Yeah.
absolutely. And the audience isn't stupid. They
Yeah.
know when something is being doctored. So having said that, I used to read everything, but once I was on stage and once action was called, it was me and my instinct. If I felt
Hmm.
that a line that is on my teleprompter is not going to work in the given circumstances or the given mood, or the judge is
Hmm.
not in a very receptive mood, or if the contestant is broken, or if the performances, I mean, the scriptwriter would say, kya performance diya aapne, kya perform, but if he's just sung so badly, you
Hmm.
have to swing in with your own emotion and your own reading of the performance before the judges have even commented on it. So an
True.
understanding of music, an understanding of sur, or the contestant's background. So I brought it all in. Whereas
Hmm.
sometimes I had co-hosts who were just like, "Why are you even working so hard? Why are you so, I must be the nerd in the class with the glasses saying, "Acha, no, extra homework kyun kar rahe ho, boss?" But I felt that really served me well because that's why my name is still associated with the show, or why people said I was the face of the show, though I really wasn't, because it was
Hmm.
the
Hmm.
talent that led it, and
Hmm.
it was the judges who were way bigger. The judges got the hoardings, not the hosts. But the hosts, see, you never, my reading is, you never notice a good host at all. You notice a bad host. So when something is not going right, it's like a whiskey. If it's a smooth
It's
whiskey,
very
there'll be
well
no
said. Yeah.
hangover. There's
Yeah.
no hangover. But if it's a hangover, you'll say, "What the hell did I drink yesterday? This
Yeah.
was so bad. Give me a hangover."
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a very unacknowledged role that you
Hmm.
play as
Hmm.
the crew of
Hmm.
the show, where you are doing your job and you're keeping everyone's balance with your energy and your intuition, and you will get no kudos for it unless you do a bad job, in which case you'll be pulled up for it, saying, "You could have done this, you could have said this." So a host job is it's very tight-ropey, according to me, but it's highly underrated and unacknowledged. And this is not a rant. This is how
Hmm.
it's been, you know.
No, I can
And
relate to you. I can relate to that really well because so I can give you an analogy. Like a host's job is like a referee or an umpire in a game. You don't notice them unless they make a howler. If you will not thank them if they did
correct.
a brilliant job, even if they did
Partly
an out
true, but the
abysmal job.
umpire and the referee, okay, in football maybe. The cricket umpire is
Hmm.
just standing there like that. In the football, the referee is also running around.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
ran around the most. I was the first on stage and I was the
Hmm.
last off stage.
Hmm.
So the judges had a chair to sit with a fan under them and snacks to eat. But I was standing there for 16 hours non-stop. You see,
Hmm.
so it's it's a very difficult sort of job, but it gave me so much pleasure and it gave me so much ownership and so much sort of joy, to bring something to the camera, to the viewers, and for them to have related to me like I was some cousin that they really liked, which really worked for me. I enjoyed that, and I remember it was so crazy the way nobody was ready for what Idol became
Yeah.
eventually. I
Yeah.
remember I
Yeah.
used to shoot live the results, and it would go like 5 hours deferred, and after coming home, I would have to stick a slip of who went out for my mother-in-law to get up and read. Otherwise, she would wake me up even if I'd just gone to sleep. Saying, "Kaun gaya?" Everybody was so involved. And her people would call her home saying, ask her, don't wait." So it was that. So I've been through like some absolutely, so whatever I did, even when I did travel shows, it was the first travel show the country had ever seen. Namaste
Yep.
India and Indian
Yep.
Holiday were the first one. So I was
Yep.
lucky enough to be there at the right time, just at the precipice of receiving everything, changing on the Indian television scene. So therefore, I feel very satiated in a way to have to not want to reinvent the wheel. When someone says,
Hmm.
"Why aren't you doing so much on TV?" What is it on TV that I would aspire to do for? I have I have seen the best of it. You go
Yeah.
ahead, make your money. But I put my soul out there and I'm so, so content.
For a number of hosts that I see, they see hosting a show as a stepping stone to something bigger in their heads. While with you, it was like, this is what I'm doing, and I'll give it my bloody best to ensure that I put out the best performance that I can. So that's what helped you stand apart, in my opinion. You did not treat it as a stepping stone. You gave the platform the respect that it deserved.
I'm so thankful to you for recognizing that because that's exactly what I wanted to do. I did not want to be see because I didn't get into television to be a star or to
Hmm.
be
Hmm.
recognized or
Hmm.
to be an actor or I was an advertising person, right? This was an opportunity that I chanced upon and I
Yeah.
really enjoyed. I really
Hmm.
enjoyed the job. So I don't see and it mind you when I came to Bombay and I was from Delhi and मेरी हिंदी इतनी साफ थी that I got a lot of acting offers. I got a lot of every alternate day there was a serial that was offered to me, and I just didn't see why it would just detract me from what I was doing, and I was enjoying immensely. And everything about the roles I was being offered was so like stereotypical. You know,
Hmm.
आप
Hmm. Hmm.
पगली हैं, आप vivacious हैं, आप इस I had finished my education. Na? I'm competing with 16-year-olds wanting to be actors. I'm feeling like their older sister. I said, I'm not here to be a heroine, okay? So,
Yeah.
and I'm damned if I sit there next to a dumb kid playing their elder sister and the bubbly, person. I just get lost. I don't want to do it. I'm getting the cream of unscripted in this
Yeah.
city, and I don't intend to trade that for anything. So I stuck to it, and I'm very happy, about that.
Now that you are someone who everybody recognizes, you have a massive fan following on social media platforms as well. Brands are lining up to associate you with them. They are hounding you with offers, etc. So uh, hasn't life come a full circle? जब आप एडवर्टाइजिंग में थे तो you would run after celebrities to हाँ ये इसको endorse कर दो उसको endorse कर दो. Now you are at the receiving end कि हाँ I will be picky and choosy with the stuff that I want to do. मेरे को इतना तंग
इसकी
मत करो. You are at the other end now.
इसकी प्रॉब्लम बताऊं जब
हाँ.
आप एमबीए बैकग्राउंड से होते हो ना आप सबको सिखाने लगते हो सो व्हेन अ ब्रांड इज सेइंग put your pretty face on this box and just like
Hmm.
tell us about I'm like you're going about it the wrong way. Okay, the audience is not looking at this way. You have to make it more organic. This has to look like so they're like, we just wanted an influencer, and you're giving us a. So some ways it's taken positively, okay, and they let me do my shit because if I make
Hmm.
sense. But more often
Hmm.
than not, I'm sure they put the phone down and like, God, Gyani Baba, number one. So yes, life has come a full circle, and very often, I'm asked whether I regret leaving the corporate. Road and when I watch all my colleagues who were my classmates being CEOs and heads of whatever Asia Pacific something and
Hmm.
I
Hmm.
do feel a tinge of uh, I wouldn't say regret but I do feel I mean I'm sure they look at me and they're like boss
क्या
सीख ले
लाइफ है इसकी
बहुत
तो.
but I do feel that I should have maybe gone back to it at some point or yeah now COVID has happened otherwise I have so many startup ideas and so many things that I've decided to take up now that so once the pandemic gets over I think I shall swing into action.
Nice. I just noticed your background says all you need is love. Exactly as my T-shirt. So
Oh my god, yes,
what a coincidence,
what
dude.
the hell.
This was supposed to happen. This was destined.
वो मेरे भाई लिखे
Huh.
yeah this is
So
quite freaking crazy
I
huh?
just noticed your background and I was like, wow, my mind was blown into 1,000 pieces.
Yeah, this
So
is mind blowing. I
I
also
was just
have
talking.
one that you may
Huh.
like very much.
I
I
love
love
this.
it.
I so
And it's
love it.
always on my desk. And every time I sit and I look at it, and I'm like, it's never too late to start anything new. It's that simple.
It's very cool, yeah. My desk has a bobblehead of Dwight Schrute from The Office, so why why not?
It is what it is.
So we were just talking about brand endorsements, etc. So Shinny ma'am, you have always been vocal about what you believe in. You, despite having the risk or fear of offending masses, you have stuck to your guts and you've spoken about what you truly strongly believe in, be it political issues, be it social issues, be it n number of issues. We'll not deep dive into anything of that sort. I wanted to talk about a different side of that. uh, do the brand endorsements, or do the people or companies who want to approach you for collaborations, do they change on your political stance, or do people who you have worked with in the past advise you not to be so vocal, or else you might lose out on collaborations, you might lose out on stuff? Does that ever happen?
So I give a shit about what people think. Okay, I give a shit about what brands they don't, whether they align with my, political
Hmm.
views or my social stand. Um, if your advertising is going to be based on what, and you're not proud of what I represent, you are not meant for me in any case. For me,
Hmm.
it's very clear. See, I'm not. I mean, there are women who are far more, people who are far more vocal about their stance. I keep social media separate. Twitter
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
for expressing what I feel politically, for the environment, for social causes. My Instagram is more of a fun space where I share very light stuff. Okay,
Yeah.
I share. I don't make like
Hmm.
reels of
Political
or
statements there.
TikTok
Yeah.
videos. Yeah, I mean those are more social issues, adoptions, healthcare, and I put out what I'm, if I'm really sad about something or if I need. But the people who follow me on Instagram are very different from the people who follow me on Twitter.
Hmm.
And I actually have a huge amount of press following me, a huge amount of, I'm sorry if it sounds wrong, but celebrities of in each field, whether it's from the field of politics or industry or films, or they follow me, but they follow me for a different reason. So you've got to say the right thing at the right place, what you want. So if I want to talk about a lipstick, I can't do this on
Hmm.
Twitter because the
Twitter.
people who
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
following me there are like, "Arey, tum to ye ho, wo ho," they're full of trolls, and so I wouldn't dare or want to bring a brand. So if a brand comes to me and says Twitter post, I'm like, you don't want to do
नहीं
Twitter
नहीं.
post. Huh? You, unless you want to be tagged for the next 6 months with, you know,
कैंसिल करो
people
इसको,
who are,
कैंसिल करो इसको.
yeah. So I'm very clear about it and I'm unapologetic about it.
Hmm.
You want to associate with me on Instagram? I'm not very rabid on Instagram, let's just say. And,
Hmm.
and also for me, my Instagram, let me be very honest, is not all commercial. It's not commercial at all. I do a
Yeah, yeah.
paid collab only after I'm very convinced that it's worth my time and energy. Because, see, I'm not an Instagram influencer. I have a life and a career on the ground. So
Yep.
I'm still working. I'm still hosting shows. I'm still acting in, my shows, my
Season
series.
season 2 आ रहा
So
है अभी. हाँ.
Instagram is, I don't get stressed about, oh my God, I don't have brand collaborations, one a day.
Hmm.
It
Hmm.
doesn't
Hmm.
work for me. And if
Hmm.
and I get very involved, maybe it's my advertising background, but if I'm saying something about a brand, I better believe it. I won't ever put out something I don't believe in.
Do you read
So
the comments or the feedback that is shared with you on your social media pages at all, or do you simply block out the noise? Because see, Twitter, you said, is a place which is negative in its nature. There are very few platforms that are as negative as Twitter. वहाँ पे the most number of people are there to criticize or to poke holes in anything that anybody has picked out. मतलब
they're
आज ही
not,
मैं
they're
देख रहा.
bots. They're
Yeah,
bots. They're
हाँ,
not
true,
people.
true. How difficult is it to tune out all this noise? I mean, किसी ना किसी level पे तो you are a human after all, affect तो करता होगा यार.
Yeah, it affects you. I mean, I read everything. I read
Hmm.
everything because it's an
Hmm.
interface with people who follow you. I have a very lovely following on Instagram where I have women followers, moms, beauty people, people who are interested in lifestyle and home and travel,
Yeah.
and all of that. So I actually know them by name. I may not respond on a daily basis, but I get very little hate on Instagram. Very
Hmm.
little.
Hmm.
Maybe an odd comment from some idiot troll who's done the
Hmm.
shapeshift
Hmm.
from Twitter to
Hmm.
Instagram, which I delete instantly or get my team and come goes in and deletes it. But Twitter, I think it's such a shit fest that I just go say what I have to say and I leave. I don't, because I don't believe that anyone's listening to anyone on Twitter anymore. I believe people are just ranting and no one's
Hmm.
really listening.
Hmm.
People have stopped listening in this world right now. No, I think people have generally become a little too hard lined and opinionated, and they don't want to see facts or they don't want to see a reality that may not be what they think is reality. And I think a lot of polarization has happened on that, on various issues. And
Hmm.
there's just no sense in banging your head, in a rock party, basically.
So,
Anymore.
that's how we got the name of our podcast as well. So, everywhere we saw around us, there was hyper reactions to every single thing in an instant. So, we thought, let's just chill for a while. Let's just take it slow for a while and then react. Let's process information and then react. So, that's why we called the podcast itself taking it a little
Good
slow.
name. Good name.
So, uh, another thing that I really, really respected about you was the show that you did, Mini Me. For a celebrity to come out and say openly that I am not happy with the relationship that I have with my daughter and I want to work on it takes a lot of guts. I couldn't have done that in public. I am nobody on social media. You are a public figure. I mean, massive respect for that. First of all,
Thank
really,
you. I will
really,
take that respect, but I will also distract you a little bit. The reason for me producing Mini Me was also not that I had a less than perfect relationship with my daughter. It was a take on how you never show your kids the real you till you're
hmm,
out of your routine or when you're
hmm,
traveling. And a
hmm,
second child, I don't know if you're a first kid or a second kid or a middle kid, but a
only kid.
second child, only kid. तो तुम्हारी तो बात ही नहीं करते. But a second, my introduction said that a second child is always a shared rider in the cab, in a
Yeah,
cab
yeah.
for three.
Hmm,
So they're just an addition. So you never get to spend one-on-one time with them ever. And I wanted to do that because my son had that mommy time and
hmm,
she didn't.
hmm.
So I said, I'm going to teach her. I wanted to see the real me and not the routinized momzilla that she sees ever since she
Yeah,
wakes up and, abhi
yeah.
khao, abhi pado, abhi khelo, abhi play date, abhi. I wanted to know because I'm the real me when I'm traveling.
Hmm.
So we decided to do this show, and it wasn't such a big coming out party as you said that it wasn't perfect. But I do know that at the end of the show, where we traveled 6 countries in a month and we did all kinds of shenanigans, I discovered that I had my relationship with her actually changed, and then we did the season 2, which is
Hmm,
ready and
hmm,
in my
hmm,
pocket, but I
hmm.
haven't put it out yet. And our relationship and our bond has just got stronger through the show, and I've ended up with 2 seasons of an incredible show that has its own cult following.
Yeah.
So this was a show I produced, I funded myself before I sold it to a platform, because I wanted it to be purely organic and not led by brands or just I didn't want my child to be mouthing, "Oh, I love XYZ jeans," or this. So I said, all that is crap. I won't get the money that I deserve for this, but I'm not going to, mix it up.
Again, massive respect for
Thank you.
because आजकल सोशल मीडिया पे people only highlight the positives कि मेरी लाइफ में सब मस्त चल रहा है. I am the best version of what I can be, and there is
Living the
absolutely
best life.
I am living the best life. So to be someone who is as well known as you and to say that I want to make it better.
I want to
It
know, of course.
Yeah.
I mean, it is, of course, but the point is, I also don't like to, tom everything I'm going through on social media. But one thing I can say about my Instagram account is that it's real. I don't
Hmm.
project something that isn't happening. In fact, I don't post as much as I'm supposed to post. I just when I feel like it, I post.
Hmm.
So, but I intend to keep it real because people want to connect with you to see your real self, not a
Yeah.
projected self. It's only going to plummet people into depression, like what Facebook did. At one time, I got off Facebook like a cat on a hot tin roof. I ran off because everybody was just displaying, "Oh, we holidayed here, we holidayed
Hmm.
there, and my
Hmm.
kid has
Hmm.
got this, and my kid has won painting competition." It was just like keeping up with the Joneses. I couldn't handle, so I ran away from there. So the last thing I want is to make Instagram a competition on who's living the best life.
And that does give people a lot of anxiety issues as well. Yeah, so they start comparing their own lives with
Of
the
course.
highlights of other people. So I mean, it's a weird space to be in.
You put a filtered picture up and everybody else is like, "Oh my god, my skin doesn't look like this, I'm so ugly, my house
Yeah.
doesn't look so beautiful." Everyone needs to have a little dose of reality eventually to understand Instagram is not real.
Talking of Instagram, someone who makes a very regular appearance on Instagram is Blue, your pet.
Yes.
How when was it that you decide to have him, get him, and how has he changed your life? how is it being a pet mom? I've been a pet parent for
Your pet daddy.
almost. I'm pet daddy, yes. Yes, for quite a while, and it has made my life infinitely better. I mean, I get asked by a number of friends that is it too much responsibility? Is it are you treating the animal well? Is the animal happy with you? Or how does it change your life? तुमको travel restrictions हो जाते हैं, तुम कहीं जा नहीं सकते छोड़ के. So my response to them usually is, you spend your time at home, say out of 365 days, around 320, 330 days with your pet, and the amount of happiness that a pet can bring to your life, nothing else can.
I've grown up with pets at home. I've had a dog since I was a kid, and
Hmm.
we were all excited. You know, I had a Saint Bernard, I had Lhasa Apsos, I had Shih Tzus, and I just knew one thing, that my mother looked after them. So when my kids decided that they wanted a pet, I knew that I was the one who was going to have to take care of them,
Yep.
and for me, the balance, eternal balance between doing a good job as a parent and being a professional and active one at that. Plus, my husband is a very, busy
Hmm.
filmmaker. So,
Yeah.
the whole hoopla around films, and it, it, it leaves very little room in my life for taking care of yet one more child. And a
Hmm.
pet is a child.
It is.
And they have cried. My kids have stood in the middle of Venice and wept because everybody is taking pets into restaurants. They have literally cried, sat on the floor saying, "You have to promise us." And I was like, "I'm not giving you a pet. There's no chance I'm going to get you a pet, because I know that you are going to just come and pet it, and I'll have to pick up the
Yep.
poop and
Yep.
take
Yep.
him to the vet and all of that."
Yep.
So I resisted for a long time, but they would go embarrassingly to anywhere to go to my husband's shoot, talk about how the horrible mom isn't allowing them pets, despite the fact that she grew up with pets. And so, a very nice gentleman who is Kabir's Steadicam operator, who's who has a beautiful husky. He just bought a husky, put him in a cage, rang my bell, put the cage and the dog food, and left. He just gifted Blue to us, and
So cute.
once that little thing with blue eyes came out of the cage, I was just like, we are
अरे
so
यार.
screwed. We are so screwed. And the decision was taken out of my hands. And sure enough, I'm the one. And but it is. I must tell you that life with a pet is just incredible. Okay, it's stress free living. The
Hmm.
amount of, except that I ended up with a dog who has a cat's personality. He is the most independent, isolated, non loving, non uninvolved husky on the planet. It's a dog but with a cat soul, so he wants to be left alone all the time. So I don't get the hugs that I pay for. Okay. And but anyway, he's here, he's beautiful, he's gorgeous, he's intimidating, he's also very difficult to look after because he's a husky.
Hmm.
Bombay is not the best place, which is why I've never
Yep.
got him mated. I don't want many more huskies running around as status symbols in people's hands when they can't look after his needs. And a husky needs so much care. You need to keep
Yep.
them cool. You need to brush
Hmm.
them. You need to walk them, run them,
Hmm.
feed them
Hmm.
proteins. If you can't do that, you have no business, keeping a pedigree dog. You must adopt, and I'm all for animal adoption. I constantly am a conduit between people who want to give up their dogs, pre-loved dogs, because they can't take care of them, and finding them foster homes and homes that they
Hmm.
will last in.
Yep.
It is a responsibility. Let's not beat about the bush, but it's a responsibility I welcome with open arms, because it makes the stress of this living in the city really go off for me. I just wish
I,
there were more parks and places to
I
run
agree.
around
I
with their
agree.
dogs, and
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
people in
Yeah.
London just go on Sundays and then they're
यहाँ
playing
हाइड
ball with
पार्क
the
में जाके
dog.
खेल रहे हैं लोग, हाँ सब
तो मेरी
काफी अच्छा.
अल्टीमेट ड्रीम है कि मैं एक बार इसको साइबेरिया लेके जाऊंगी और इसको बर्फ में छोड़ दूंगी.
Nice. Nice.
I'm gonna once if I can manage it, I'm going to do it.
I think that is the most beautiful note that we can end on. इससे अच्छा हाय हम लोग नहीं जाने वाले हैं. So thank you once again, Mini ma'am, for taking so much time out. It was absolutely a privilege speaking to you, and it was very cool of you to come on the podcast and chat with me like you know me or something.
That's because you're a very fluid presenter. There are very few presenters who can actually shape and control a conversation as if you're talking with a very old friend. I think that's the hallmark of a really good presenter, and you have it, and you got it, and I didn't even feel the time pass. And I'm glad. I'm glad that there are people who are educated, and have lots of life experience, who are now actually have platforms to do this in so many ways that we didn't when I started out. And maybe I'll do my own podcast now.
Yeah, nice. Thank you, Mini ma'am. This was very
Yeah,
cool of you to do.
it
Thank you
was
so
very
much.
cool. It was a good chat.